different plants, different voices, and different ways of having conversations. It's time to get personal with plant medicine. Welcome to Getting Personal with Plant Medicine. I'm your host, Diana.
And I'm the co-host, JR.
Why do you say I'm the co-host instead of I'm your co-host?
Because last time I said I'm your co-host, you said you're my co-host, sir. You said, you're not their co-host. And it was like this.
Okay.
I was like, all right. So now I'm just saying I'm the co-host.
All right. So, like I said, this is Getting Personal with Plant Medicine. And if this is your first time listening, this is one of our Seedling episodes where we just talk a little bit about something that we definitely plan on going into deeper in the future. And we give a little bit of our own personal experience with it. So, yeah. All right. We're going to talk today about turkey tail, which if you take any hikes out in nature, you may have seen.
Most likely you have.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, even if you don't take walks out, even if you just live somewhere with a tree nearby, you may have seen these really cool looking mushrooms that grow off the side of the tree, on the tree. They grow on the tree. They can grow in other places too. But anyway.
They're most prevalent on hardwood.
All right. Well, turkey tail has a lot of benefit. All right.
Yes, it does.
For instance, it has a lot of gut health benefit, right? It has prebiotics, which support the growth of beneficial bacteria in the gut microbiome, which can aid in digestion, and it can help with things like gut function, and it also overall improves the body's immune response.
Yeah. I mean, it's very jam-packed with, immune boosting, whatever effects. A big one is actually with respiratory health. So essentially, is because of its high immune boosting therapies, taking it when you're sick or have a cold or like a viral infection, it kind of limits that, especially when it comes to like upper respiratory infections. When I first saw that it was good for lung health and stuff like that and respiratory health, I did get excited because I am asthmatic. But it is important to note that it's not like a dilator. It's not a bronchodilator. So it's not like your emergency inhaler, which is actually going to open up those pathways, something that things like pinene actually help in. So it doesn't necessarily force those open, but because of its immune boosting and also anti-inflammatory properties, what it does is it kind of helps relieve a lot of that inflammation and stress created around the pathways of your respiratory system when you are sick. Kind of allows them to open up a little bit in that aspect, not pulling them open like a bronchodilator, but just kind of easing that inflammation along the area to allow an easier breathing and to kind of help that viral infection from doing things like dripping into your lungs with a postnasal drip, causing like a bronchitis. People with asthma, a lot of times when they get colds, it can easily turn into like a bronchitis situation because of that postnasal drip and that restriction of the airways. So while it doesn't necessarily force you to breathe better, it kind of eases the area to kind of keep it from getting worse and for you to breathe a little bit better.
Well, like you just said, you have asthma. And I have Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune disease that is caused by chronic inflammation, and turkey tail is linked to anti-inflammatory effects. And it also inhibits pro-inflammatory molecules, which can help reduce inflammation in the body and promote overall wellness. And I will say personally, when I decided to make the conscious effort to drink the turkey tail cappuccino before but yeah, I don't know what you call it. It's turkey tail tea, but it they say you can drink it in the morning because it also is a natural energy booster. So I was like, well, let me drink this before my coffee. And now I only did it the one day because, neurospicy. But I'm going to try and make more of a concerted effort to do it every day, even if I don't take it before my coffee. But what I noticed was that before I drank, if I drank it before my cold brew, I didn't get the usual, stomach
Mm-hmm.
reaction that I get in the morning. So I really think that, that works. I
Yeah.
think it does.
No.
I also noticed that I'm not as bloated when I drink turkey tail.
Mm-hmm.
So, my stomach, because I also have endometriosis, so my stomach's always bloated pretty much. And I think that this is the only thing I've drank that has like a visible change,
Yeah.
immediately, pretty much. So,
Yeah. I mean, yet again, and you touched on it there for a second with the drinking in the morning because it can build energy, because primarily it's thought of as more of an immune boosting mushroom and really great for things like health and stuff like that. There are properties that kind of do give you a little bit more energy, so with things like cancer, they've done studies with cancer trials where people that were using it in conjunction with their chemotherapy actually had a 5-year longer life expectancy than if they were just doing the chemotherapy on its own. It's important to note that with the chemotherapy, with the whole stuff going on with the apple cider vinegar, I don't want people to
yeah,
replace their
we are not
chemotherapy
telling
with
you.
turkey tail mushroom.
Yeah, this is not the podcast. Just
Exactly.
really quickly to make sure that we make this very clear.
Yeah,
We are not telling
we are
you to
not.
use this in lieu of
Yeah.
any pharmaceuticals or life-saving
Yeah.
medications. It's just something that is
As
interesting.
supplements,
It's
yeah.
supplements. It's your
Because
choice to add it if you'd like, but we're
primarily
not.
what they found with the cancer itself, not necessarily the life expectancy, that's a big part, but it was actually how people were basically their how they were living during their
Oh,
chemotherapy,
quality
their
of life.
quality of life.
Mhm.
They found that people that were taking these mushrooms had a little bit more energy, were a little bit more easily bouncing back from things because of the turkey tail. So it's
See, not to cut you off again, but
yeah,
I think that that's what I love about plant medicine, honestly. It's
yeah,
that, yeah, you need life-saving pharmaceuticals, right? Like, we're not, again, we're not saying don't take those. But if you're someone who's skeptical, who's had a lot of bad experiences, like I have, and have had some really bad reactions to pharmaceuticals, I really love the fact that you can supplement
hmm
with things like turkey tail and other forms of plant medicine like THC. Because when you brought up chemo, I'm thinking, how many people had a much better quality of life during treatment when they had access to THC. And now, this is another thing to put in the tool belt, right? Like, so long as you're making it clear to whoever is treating you that this is what you're using too, because
yeah.
we don't want any,
Rogue people going out there and
right.
having bad situations happening. One of the biggest things concerning this, though, and a lot of times with like holistic medicine, is a lot of people kind of expect overnight results when a lot of times these things are actually designed to kind of create more of a homeostasis,
Mhm.
more of like a preventative situation. And the biggest aspect of that I found that was personal to me was when it came to stress, because it can have what's believed as a stress relieving effect, but it's a little bit different than like, oh no, I'm in a stressful situation. Like if I'm in a very stressful situation, like I'm going to drink some kava to calm me down. Some people may take CBD or THC to help calm them down. Turkey tail is not going to give you that immediate calm down. What it does is it kind of builds a tolerance on how you actually respond to stressful situations. So someone like me, my sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system is pretty much trashed. So the sympathetic nervous system is what's considered your fight or flight mode, where your body senses that you're in danger, your heart rate goes up, you become over alert, stuff like that happens. Your parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and digest. So what happens after you're safe, where you are able to calm down, your heart rate kind of slows down. What happens with me is small things. They could be big things, but they could also be very small things actually activate that stress response. So something very innocuous could happen and my body gets thrown into that fight or flight mode. My heart rate starts to race. I get overly anxious, overly alert on things, and it'll kind of stretch on to a long period of time until I essentially almost my body can't take anymore, and I kind of fall into that rest and digest, which almost is very similar to a depressive episode. So with that, I spent a lot of time trying to find things to take the moment I could feel that response happening, that sympathetic nervous system, the stress response happening, is I'll try to hurry up and take something to counteract that. And then that would become a juggling act on its own, because if I would take too much, it could throw me into that depressive episode even quicker. So what turkey tail does is it actually kind of works to correct the response from the get. So it allows your body to kind of heal itself in those responses, so that through time, stressful situations don't hit you as strong as they were prior to that. But with that, because it's not something that is going to offer an immediate response, it's kind of something you need to take on a daily basis, drinking it in the tea in the morning, or a supplement if you don't like tea. But that's something that you're really going to find a lot with a lot of earth medicine, is it's not something that you're really designed to take immediately to give yourself that immediate fix. It's something that's designed to kind of work in your body to kind of build that homeostasis, to kind of allow you to fight things longer down the line and not just fight it immediately.
Yeah. I was going to say, I so agree, but So we didn't mention that the reason why turkey tail is such a powerful immune boosting prop has such,
Yeah. I was getting tripped up on that too. I don't know why my brain's just not.
So, well, this month, right?
Am I right? February.
I mean, by the time you
take my February, please.
By the time you listen to this, it may not be February anymore.
I doubt it will be, because I read like the last week.
But I imagine we can still use that, because of what's going on in the world right now this month. Am I right? Anyway, so
take my 2025, please.
So anyway, I can't pronounce these compounds that exist in turkey tail. Maybe you can. I don't know.
I'm not even good. Not after this year. I'm not going to try.
Polysaccharopeptides, PSP, and polysaccharide K, PSK. So I'm mentioning that because I'm just going to end on a quick note from the Christopher Hobbs Medicinal Mushrooms, The Essential Guide, which truly is
essential.
What to look for in commercial products. Look for products that contain both fruiting bodies and the mycelium, preferably organic. Commercial products in capsules that are derived from mycelium grown on rice may contain fewer beta-glucans and should be tested with iodine to make sure that they don't contain significant amounts of starch. Concentrated powder tea extracts are available in capsules or tablets. PSK, which we just mentioned, or PSP extract is available in capsules or tablets, but they are quite expensive because they're patented. Why can't I use words today? They are patented medicines in Japan and China. So yeah, good luck getting those anytime soon. So anyway, tinctures are generally inferior for immunological and anti-cancer, antiviral effects, because of the active beta-glucans are not alcohol soluble, which I think is pretty interesting. So although the dried fruiting bodies are not typically available at regular retail outlets, boxes of them can be found in Chinese herb shops. Keep in mind, though, that these fruiting bodies may be of questionable quality. They may have been fumigated to help preserve them from insect damage, which doesn't always work. And it's difficult to say where they were grown or how old they are by the time you purchase them. So this book recommends that you grow it on your own, which isn't always possible. But nowadays, there are a lot of kits out there. It's getting easier.
There's a lot of kits, and there's a lot of like moisturizer containment, to help with the humidity, to help grow them.
That's true.
We have one.
We have one. One day maybe
we'll use it, and then we'll talk about it on this podcast.
Maybe one day we will grow. Yeah. We have grown lion's mane and oyster mushrooms. But anyway, harvesting these from the wild, though, is the best source, because quality fruiting bodies are so common in many habitats where dead or dying hardwoods are available. So do a little foraging if you can. If you can't, tea. There are some teas out there, some
There's some
quality
teas out there.
The one that we have is, I'd say, pretty good because
Mhm.
it does have the mycelium. So, yeah, just, you know, this is just a little primer, like I said, a little highlight reel, a little seedling, if you will.
Yeah. Gonna sprout into something bigger.
Yeah. So, thank you for listening.
Your Highness Media. Subscribe to our podcast. Would you subscribe to Your Highness Media?
This podcast has been a product of Your Highness Media. Each episode is written, produced, and edited by Your Highness Media. Thank you for listening.